Hello everybody, you have tuned in to Eric Jose on Making a Murderer on YouTube. I cover virtually any aspect of making a murderer. I go over the evidence, the documents, the photos. So if you like, stay tuned, and in the future I'll have many more videos besides the one you're about to see. Hello everybody, how you doing today? Alright, well, now, some of you may know I was doing some videos this weekend about a decision by the Illinois Appellate Court in regards to the case of a Mr. Jesus Sanchez, and that decision bared a lot of resemblance. It had a lot of similarities to Stephen and Brendan's cases, particularly the confession of Jesus Sanchez. Paralleled a lot of things with Brendan's confession, and then some of the other things about the case also parallel with Stephen's case, which I thought was interesting. So anyways, if you haven't, check those 3 videos out. It's 3 parts. Try to take the time to kind of help everybody understand the scene and the scenario and the kind of sequence of events so that you understand the judge's criticisms in the 2nd and 3rd videos. So anyways, today we're here to talk about some new information that has come out, and I would have obviously jumped on this sooner, but I was in the middle of a pretty involved project there. But I'm free now to go ahead and talk about this, and it does strike me as odd, this new call that's been released now, which is the actual call that Karen Halbach made to dispatch to report Teresa missing. And in that phone call, we get a few tidbits of information that contradict what we knew, or what we've been told, or what we've seen in the court case. So we're going to go ahead and see this here today. Now, the first thing is the fact that Scott Blodorn told Teresa, Karen's husband, Teresa's mom's husband, or Teresa's, stepdad, that Scott told him that he saw Teresa on Monday. But apparently, but what we know from all the witness accounts and everything, trial and all that stuff, he says last time he saw her was on Sunday. And nobody says they saw her on Monday. So now, when we hear this call, we hear that Karen says that her husband went over and asked, and Scott said that he saw her on Monday. So that's a little fishy. Then, the thing here, the reason why I'm making this video for the most part, is the belly button piercing that Karen says that Teresa has in this call. I think this is a very interesting development, because you all know how much of a problem I have with the control question, and I believe, it's my opinion, and I'm going to go through that here in this video, that this belly button piercing really actually makes the control question and their claim that it proves Brendan was resisting officers, it makes it even that more ridiculous. So we're going to get into it. But we'll go ahead first, and we'll look at the account where basically, we find out that Scott Blodorn was saying that he saw Teresa on Monday, when what we know from the time that we've been reviewing this case, that it was always that last time he saw her was on Sunday. So it's funny how things change in this case so often. But here, we'll go ahead and get into it.
No, she has a roommate. He hasn't heard from her since Monday either.
His name?
Scott Blodorn.
Do you know how to spell that?
B-L-O-E-D-O-R-N.
Alright, so you see there, and this is really one of my biggest bones to pick with the whole Avery Jassy situation, is why do the stories change? Why do the initial reports of the stories are always, with almost anybody, are almost always different than what happens later, than the story that ends up coming out later after being worked on by law enforcement. So there you see that she's clearly saying that Scott Blodorn saw her on Monday. He's saying he told her husband, he told him that he saw Teresa on Monday. But he testifies, and everything else after that, all of their accounts are he never saw her on Monday, he saw her on Sunday. Right? So it's The fact that these things change, and with so many different witnesses, different people, that the initial accounts do not match. You know, constantly stories are having to change here. Constantly we see evidence of the officers working on people and working them over to get them to alter their stories. We certainly see it with Brendan, but we also see it in other places. So, yeah, that's an interesting little fact there, that Scott Blodorn originally stated that he saw her on Monday, because that's not the story that was getting told later. So now we're going to move into, I'm going to show you guys now a little bit about, I'm going to show you guys a control question. I'm going to show you all my original problems with it. And then we're going to listen to the clip about the belly button piercing. And then I'm going to go ahead and elaborate even further on how this belly button piercing throws the control question into even further into further ridiculousness, however you want to look at it. So here we go. Right now we're going to go ahead and take a look at the transcript of this of the control question, that as it happened in the interrogation, as repeated by the majority, the Seventh Circuit Court majority, in their opinion. So here we are going to see the Seventh Circuit Court majority putting out the transcript of the exchange between Fassbender and Brendan, when Fassbender asks Brendan the control question, which is a question where they are suggesting a fake fact about Teresa. They are suggesting that Teresa had a tattoo on her stomach in the control question. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and go into that now, and we'll discuss that, and then we'll move into why the belly button piercing is important. One more time, this is the majority decision. Signaling that the investigators did not overwhelm his will, Dassey resisted repeated suggestions by both investigators that he and Avery had used wires and cables hanging in the garage to torture Teresa. The investigators also tested Dassey's suggestibility. They told him falsely that Teresa had a tattoo on her stomach and asked if he had seen it. Here is the exchange. Fassbender, did she have any scars, marks, tattoos, stuff like that you can remember? Brendan, I don't remember any tattoos. Fassbender, okay. We know that Teresa had a tattoo on her stomach. Do you remember that? Brendan shakes his head no and says, which is resisting, which is what they wanted. Then Fassbender says, do you disagree with me when I say that? And then Brendan says, no, I just don't know where it is. And Fassbender says, okay. When he says no, I don't know where it is, he is basically agreeing with Fassbender that Teresa had a tattoo on her belly. That is what he's saying there. So to say he was repeatedly resisting officers, why didn't he resist there on that one? Because he clearly acquiesced and basically agreed with Fassbender about a false fact that was made up by Fassbender. Brendan just agreed to it.
We know that Teresa had a tattoo on her stomach. Do you remember that? Do you disagree with me when I say that?
No, but I don't know what it was.
Okay, so the problem is there, folks. The way it starts out just fine. Tom Fassbender says, we know that Teresa had a tattoo on her stomach. Do you remember that? Or on her belly, whatever it is. Do you remember that? And Brendan shakes his head and says, That is exactly what investigators wanted. They wanted him to resist their false fact, because that helps them to claim that this interrogation is voluntary and that Brendan is telling the truth, basically, right? So by him answering the question correctly, it makes the confession look more valid, right? So to start out, Tom Fassbender gets exactly what he wanted. He gets Brendan saying, I don't remember that tattoo, which is good because it wasn't actually there. Then Fassbender, I don't know, maybe judging from something he saw in Brendan's facial expression, because he was in the room or something, he goes one step further. And I think it was a bad move for him because after the way they've been treating Brendan the whole time, when he asks the question, do you disagree with me when I say that? He puts Brendan on the defensive. He immediately makes Brendan think, oh no, they're going to start telling me to tell the truth and to be honest again. And so he immediately flip-flops and says, no, I'm not disagreeing with you. I just don't know where it was. Or what it was. Sure sounds like he's saying, I don't know, it's hard to say. It sounds to me like he says where it was, but in the transcripts they always put what it was. Whatever. To me, the point is he clearly acquiesces to the fact that Teresa has a tattoo on her stomach when she did not have a tattoo on her stomach. That's just plain and simple. He agreed to a fake fact. But if that's not enough, now I will say one other thing. I had some people come in and say to me, well, it's kind of like a double negative. Well, I can understand how you could feel that way. But by the strictest definitions of the English language, neither Fassbender nor Brendan used a double negative. Neither of them did. Had either one of them used a double negative, that would change the whole face of this whole conversation right now. But the fact is, neither one of them did. Okay? You can't use statements from two separate people to constitute a double negative. A double negative is when one person speaking in basically one phrase or sentence uses two negative terms, as in saying, I wouldn't not do that. That's a double negative. And the reason why that's a double negative is because you're saying wouldn't, which is would not, and then you're saying not again. So you're just saying I would not do that. That's a double negative. But for one person to use a negative and in terms of do you disagree with me, and then for the next person to say no, neither one of them has used a double negative. So when it comes down to it, do you disagree with me? No. I agree with your fake fact. That's the way that goes. That's the way the English language works, no matter how much the Seventh Circuit wants to tell you otherwise. But if that's not enough, if that doesn't quite push it over the top for you to show you exactly how badly the Seventh Circuit Court is misrepresenting this fact, how much the state of Wisconsin and Tom Fassbender is misrepresenting this fact, let's go one step further. Supposedly, Brendan saw Teresa, correct? He saw Teresa. He was there raping her, cutting her hair, throat, all these things, everything, all of it. The whole thing that happened, right? He's there. He's looking at her body, head to toe, would most likely know everything about it. If it was true, right? Okay. As they're asking about this fake tattoo on Teresa's belly, and if Brendan had in fact done all these horrific things that they're trying to say he did, why didn't he say, no, but she did have a belly button ring? Why didn't he say that? Think about it for a second, folks, because look at the way he acts when Tom Fassbender says, do you disagree with me? Okay? You can tell he gets quiet. The reason why he gets quiet is because he's thinking about how it's gone so far in this interrogation, and he's thinking, oh boy, I'm in trouble now. So he agrees. He says, no, I don't disagree with you. Now, we're going to go ahead and I'm going to show you the clip now. For those of you who are saying, oh yeah, there's no proof of a belly button ring or whatever, for those of you who actually haven't seen it yet, here we go. And we'll come back one more time before we close this out.
Get as much information for us as you can. Do you know about any piercings, ears pierced or anything like that?
I think her belly button is pierced. And her ears are good.
Okay. Pierced belly button and ears. Okay. Well, our officers are all out in the accident right now.
Yeah.
I will have. Are you going to be home all night?
Yes.
Okay, so there you see, you know, Teresa's mom, Karen, is pretty sure she had a belly button tattoo. I'm sorry, she had a belly button piercing. Trust me, I mean, moms know these things about their kids. She wouldn't have said it if she didn't know that Teresa had one. Okay. So it's to me, the fact that Brendan, when being asked about this tattoo on her belly, does not bring up this belly button that he clearly would have noticed in all the time spent doing these supposed things that the prosecution would have you believe that he did, that he wouldn't have noticed that, and that when Tom Fassbender was asking him about a fake tattoo that he would also be sure didn't exist, but then he doesn't bring up the belly button ring that did exist. So, I mean, where are we finding credibility in this control question? Because I find none. Zero. Brendan acquiesces to a false fact and doesn't even mention the thing that's actually there, the belly button ring. So, I'm going to show you one other thing here. In light of the fact that we see that Scott Blodorn's story changed, where Karen is clearly telling us that her husband went and asked Scott some questions, and Scott says the last time he saw her was on Monday, but when we get to court and every other statement, then it's suddenly that last time Scott saw her was on Sunday, right? Yeah. So I saw a little tweet from Mr. Ken Kratz today, and when I read it, I was just kind of like, you gotta be kidding, dude. So I'm gonna let you guys see it here. This will just take us out of the video here, so I'll let you guys see it for fun. I hope you find it as amusing as I did. But anyways, if you haven't already, please hit subscribe, and we'll see you.